Tonight, deepening divisions in the Democratic Party as incumbent Senator Sherrod Brown calls for President Joe Biden to exit the race for the White House. Hello to you and thank you for being with us for NBC4 at 11. I'm Kerry Charles.
And I'm Sierra Johnson in for Colleen Marshall. Brown joins a growing list of prominent Democrats calling on Biden to step aside amid growing concerns about the president's age and fitness for office. Brown said he came to the decision after speaking with voters across the state over the last few weeks. He says they're concerned about issues like the fentanyl crisis, the economy, protecting Social Security and Medicare, and preventing a national abortion ban.
Now, in a statement, Brown wrote in part, "At this critical time, our full attention must return to these important issues. I think the president should end his campaign." Brown's campaign team says the senator will not weigh in on any process to potentially choose a new Democratic nominee and believes Biden should serve the remainder of his term. After last month's debate between Biden and former President Trump, Brown said voters had legitimate questions about whether the president should stay in the race, but he stopped short of calling for an end to Biden's campaign. Again, at that time, the call for Biden to drop out comes as Brown faces a tough re-election challenge from Republican businessman Bernie Moreno, who won the Republican Senate primary after securing Donald Trump's endorsement.
In a statement, the Moreno campaign said Brown did not go far enough in calling for Biden to drop out, writing in part, "If Joe Biden is unfit to run, he is unfit to serve," and that he hopes Senator Brown will join him in calling for Biden to resign. Earlier in the day, Ohio's Republican senator and vice presidential nominee expressed the same sentiments, writing, "If Joe Biden doesn't have the cognitive function to run for re-election, then he certainly doesn't have the cognitive function to remain as commander-in-chief. How can any Dem pushing him to drop out of the presidential race argue in good faith that he should stay on as POTUS?"
Well, there are still a number of questions about what will happen with Biden's candidacy.
NBC4's Jackie Gillis spoke with local political experts on both sides of the aisle about Brown now calling on Biden to step aside. What did they have to say?
Sierra and Kerry, one thing I really wanted to know is why now? It's been 3 weeks since the presidential debate. Why is Senator Brown calling on President Biden to step aside weeks before he's supposed to accept his party's nomination?
The polls have been showing and have been showing more and more that you've got a large number of people in the country, a large majority of the country now, who don't feel that Joe Biden is up to being president for another 4 years. And I would subscribe to that.
Sherrod Brown thinks he's going to lose. Joe Biden is on a trajectory to lose the presidency, and he's going to take the Senate down with him, and he's going to build a strong, larger majority in the House for Republicans. So this is a politically expedient decision by Sherrod Brown.
Democratic strategist Dale Butlin says President Biden's situation is dire, which is why he says it's important that the Democratic Party chooses a new candidate because Senator Brown already has a tough road ahead of him.
If Donald Trump carries Ohio by anywhere close to the 8 points that he carried this state by in the last 2 elections, that means Sherrod is going to have to swim upstream. He's going to have to get voters to split their tickets.
Meantime, Republican Matt Dole says that Biden is uniting the country because the majority of voters now agree that he is no longer fit to be president.
What's scary is politicians like Sherrod Brown are calling for him to not run for president when they should be calling for him to resign as president. If he cannot run for president, he should not have his finger on the button.
But will Brown calling on Biden to step aside influence the president at all? Butlin and Dole both say there's only one person who can make that decision.
But I do believe that there is enormous pressure mounted on Biden that will cause him to leave, not just Sherrod Brown, but you have polls are showing now that you have 2 Democrats want him to exit the race.
He thinks he's had the most successful presidency, certainly in generations, and it will be very interesting to see, even with this pressure, Joe Biden holds the delegates, holds the process, and I'm not positive this gets him to step down, even with all the pressure from the senators.
Both say it's going to be interesting to see what will unfold in the coming days and weeks. Kerry?
That's for sure to be continued. Thank you so much. NBC4 will, of course, be following this story as it develops. For more on the Senate and presidential races and the biggest moments from the Republican National Convention, visit our website, NBC4i.com/election.